Now available in paperback and e-readers. Spellbound, a darker shade of black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Former First Lady Michelle Obama looked to shame black men for not supporting presidential candidate Kamala Harris.
So to the men who love us, let me just try to paint a picture of what it will feel like if America, the wealthiest nation on earth, keeps revoking basic care from its women, and how it will affect every single woman in your life. Your girlfriend could be the one in legal jeopardy if she needs a pill from out of state or overseas, or if she has to travel across state lines because the local clinic closed up. Your wife or mother could be the ones at higher risk of dying from undiagnosed cervical cancer because they have no access to regular gynecological care. Your daughter could be the one too terrified to call the doctor if she's bleeding during an unexpected pregnancy. Your niece could be the one miscarrying in her bathtub after the hospital turned her away. And this will not just affect women, it will affect you and your sons. The devastating consequences of teen pregnancy won't just be borne by young girls, but also by the young men who are the fathers. They too will have their dreams of going to college. Their entire future is totally upended by an unwanted pregnancy. If you and your partner are expecting a child, you will be right by her side at the checkups, terrified if her blood pressure is too high, or if there's an issue with the placenta, or if the ultrasound shows that the embryo was implanted in the wrong place, and the doctors aren't sure that they can intervene to keep the woman you love safe. If your wife is shivering and bleeding on the operating room table during a routine delivery gone bad, her pressure dropping as she loses more and more blood, or some unforeseen infection spreads and her doctors aren't sure if they can act, you will be the one praying that it's not too late. You will be the one pleading for somebody, anybody, to do something. And then there is the tragic but very real possibility that in the worst case scenario, you just might be the one holding flowers at the funeral. You might be the one left to raise your children alone. See, these are just some of the ways women die during childbirth. And I don't want to be a downer, y'all. But in many cases, there is no warning, and things go bad very quickly. And when it happens, every second of hesitation or delay can lead to devastating outcomes. So I am asking y'all from the core of my being to take our lives seriously. Please, do not put our lives in the hands of politicians, mostly men, who have no clue or do not care about what we as women are going through.
Now, at a campaign rally in Kalamazoo, Michigan, former First Lady Michelle Obama took to the stage to shame black men for not looking to support presidential candidate Kamala Harris. And as she gave her speech on the stage in Kalamazoo, Michigan, former First Lady Michelle Obama hoped to try to guilt black men into supporting Kamala Harris by saying that if they didn't support Kamala Harris, the women in their lives would suffer as related to reproductive health care. Now, this whole argument that Michelle Obama is making is an insult directed at both black men and black women, and it's an insult to black women because it basically says that black women's only issue is abortion, and it's an insult to black men because it not only makes black men look like all they want to do is lust and look for sex, but it also says that black men basically are not capable of caring for the black women in their lives, and wants to shame black men for not looking to care for the black women in their lives, all based on this whole narrative of abortion. And again, it's a real insult to black people all around, especially when you consider the issue of healthcare being very poor in black communities. Now, Michelle Obama's whole condescending approach is just another insult directed at black men, but this time what they're really looking to do here is two things. One, they're looking to go out here and continue to drive a wedge between black male and black female voters as related to the gender wars, and hoping to get more black women on the side of Kamala Harris by making black men to look like the bad guy of the story. And two, what they want to do is basically, if Kamala Harris loses the election, basically try to start creating the narrative that black men are the scapegoat and are the reason why Kamala Harris lost the election to Donald Trump. Now, this whole approach basically is one that has me scratching my head as related to Michelle Obama, because just a few weeks ago, we saw her husband, Barack Obama, go out here on a campaign to castigate black men for not supporting Kamala Harris, and that entire campaign wound up completely backfiring, leading to many more black male and even black female voters becoming alienated by Barack Obama's condescension and the way he just basically openly disrespected black men, and the way Barack Obama talked to black men basically sounded like a white supremacist, and in that 1 week he wound up alienating more black people than anything else. And what's even worse is after Barack Obama made that condescending statement towards black men, trying to shame us for not supporting Kamala Harris, we then got Hollywood director Spike Lee, who came out here and also looked to shame black men by saying black men needed to wake up. And now we've got Barack Obama's wife, Michelle Obama, coming out here and talking down to black men. And what has my mind completely boggled is that they continue to use the same approaches, but the whole thing is that they're not seeing how none of these approaches are working. And that basically has me wondering if people in the Blue Party are Arkham certified, because as Albert Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result. And I'd have to say somebody in the Democratic Party is just completely insane, continuing to use the same approaches that have alienated the black voting bloc again and again, and hoping that this would resonate with a black voting bloc in a tight election. Now, only an insane person would continue to talk down to a constituency, hoping that it would influence those people. And what they're thinking that they're going to do here with Michelle Obama is look to use the gender war to try to use black women to nag and shame black men into supporting Kamala Harris. However, most black men basically are not really that close to black women anymore, and the nagging and shaming really aren't going to have an impact as related to things. I mean, if the no voting, no vucking campaign didn't work back in 2020, it's not going to work right now. And again, basically, again, an insult to black men, because you're thinking that you can bully and shame black men into making choices that they don't want to make, and the only males who would go out here and make choices that they don't want to make to please a woman are beta males and simps. And sadly, those are the only men who go out here and look to support Kamala Harris as related to this campaign, because they vote on emotion and vote on emotion for a party based on ideals and ideologies such as preserving democracy. But the great irony of that statement of preserving democracy is that they want to take away a black man's choice to decide to do what he wants. I mean, everybody in the democracy can have their choices. I mean, the white man can have his choice, the Hispanic man can have his choice, the Asian man can have his choice, the Arab man can have his choice, but the black man is told he can't have a choice, and that's an insult to black men, an insult that basically shows how little respect that the Blue Party has for black people, that they go out here and tell the black man that he can't have a choice. And it basically is like trying, like I talk about in my novel Spellbound, trying to force the black man into the box that's acceptable to white people and force him to do things. I talk about this in depth in my novel Spellbound, about how many people in black communities look to force black people into doing things that are acceptable to white people, hoping to forge a covert contract where they think they can get validation and approval from white people. But that's not how the political process works. No, in the political process works, and how it works, the candidate is supposed to be, again, picked by the people, and they're supposed to be supporting the agenda that the people picked, and not supposed to be us just going out here and voting straight down tickets. That's the way the late David Carroll tried to explain things to people regarding the political process. And again, more and more black people are looking at the political process and seeing how they get absolutely nothing for their votes. I mean, black people pay tax dollars into this whole government, and we get next to no services. We have the worst roads in our communities. We have the worst public schools. We have the worst school system. And what they want us to do is support a candidate who hasn't done anything for anyone in the last 3.5 years. I mean, Kamala Harris has done absolutely nothing for anyone in 3.5 years. And what black men are looking to do is say, since there's nothing on the table for us, there's no reason for us to vote. And what's happening now is that instead of looking to go out here and look to secure those votes that would preserve their so-called democracy, instead what they want to do is deny the black man his choice, and deny the black man his choice of staying home. And again, that's really ironic. You sit there and talk about how you want to get choices for women, but you don't want to respect a man's choice, and don't want to respect a man's choice by looking to put something on the table for those men. Now, the sad part of this is that even after Kamala Harris made her weak proposals to black men and other people, she goes out here and still continues to try to shame black men with her campaign. Again, shaming black men does not really, again, incentivize black men to go out here and vote. Moreover, it doesn't incentivize black women to go out here and vote in large numbers for a candidate who has basically done nothing for black men or black women. No, this whole campaign doesn't really give anybody an incentive to vote for it when you have people going out here and wagging their finger in black people's faces, and going out here and looking to boil black people down to stereotypes, and look to boil black people down to stereotypes regarding them and voting for Kamala Harris. Again, a candidate that is really weak. I mean, it's a really weak candidate that has to come out here and go out here and look to shame voters into voting for them, when if this was a group of white or non-black constituencies, we wouldn't hear Kamala Harris going out here, or Michelle Obama coming out here trying to shame people into voting, because she would know that in order to get those votes, she would have to take that constituency seriously, and she would look at it like a business transaction. And that's what black male voters and black female voters are looking to do, is change the paradigm of politics in black communities, and looking to get tangibles in exchange for their vote, because voting is about who gets what, and voting is a business transaction. And with it being a business transaction, the candidate has to look to bring tangibles to the candidate and look to support their agenda. And usually, as the late David Carroll has talked about, usually people go out here and have their agenda first, then they pick their candidates, and that ensures that the business of getting the tangibles to the table is direct, and that person is directly accountable for bringing those tangibles to the table. That is what how the political process works. But when it comes to this blue party, they believe that they're going to try to get something for nothing in getting black votes without giving black voters anything. And the days of that basically ended with the Obama campaign looking to express its contempt for the black constituency that went out here and put Barack Obama in office in 2008 and 2012, and basically went out here and lectured and condescended to black voters for both terms of the Obama campaign and alienated that black voting bloc of Gen Xers, Millennials, and Gen Z. And they did this thinking that the boomer generation would continue to keep voting straight down the ticket, but with the boomers getting older and the boomers basically dying out, that whole plan has fallen completely apart, along with social media and people like the late David Carroll and many others explaining the process to black people. The whole game has completely changed, and sadly you have the Blue Party continuing to try to use the same approaches that don't work, showing us all how completely out of touch the Blue Party is, because as I stated, before, the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different result. It is just completely insane how this Blue Party continues to go out here and look to reach black voters by talking down to black voters, insulting black voters, and not really showing black voters any sort of respect. I mean, it's really insulting to have Barack Obama talk down to black people, then follow that up with celebrities like Magic Johnson and Spike Lee, then follow that up with Michelle Obama. I mean, the average everyday black American is struggling right now to make ends meet, and you've got a bunch of millionaires and billionaires condescending to black people and telling them that they need to support a candidate with a track record that shows her contempt for black people. And I don't know who thought this was a good campaign, but whoever it is basically is possibly getting advice from either the Joker, Harley Quinn, or a member of Batman's Rogues Gallery, because the obsessive and dysfunctional way that they approach black voters basically is something that is basically, as I see it, Arkham certified, and it's Arkham certified to continue to go after black voters by insulting them as a base. I mean, you wouldn't go down to a bunch of white voters and talk about how they're meth heads and how you meth heads need to just stop going out here and taking that meth. I mean, you wouldn't go and talk about like that guy at the Trump rally, again, talking bad about Puerto Ricans. I mean, if you were going for Hispanic voters, but with black voters, the Blue Party believes it's justified in going out here and attacking the black voting bloc. And it's completely insane. The easiest way to lose votes is to go out here and disrespect a voting bloc, but the Blue Party continues to do this because they've basically taken the black vote for granted, and they believe that the black vote is so codependent that it'll go to the polls even if you insult them and abuse them. And like the brother of Logic and Common Sense said in one of his videos, they basically are treating this like a Pimp 304 situation, and they believe that they can abuse the black voter, but we clearly see by the polls that the black vote is going nowhere. And again, more and more black people, when we look at these tirades that Michelle Obama, Spike Lee, and Magic Johnson put on, they don't incentivize us to vote, because what incentivizes us to vote is tangibles, and we don't see any on the table. Instead, what we see are Blue Party politicians trying to get something for nothing and trying to see what they can get for free as related to the black vote without having to ever deliver on any goods. But that time is over, because basically Joe Biden messed that up back in 2020. Joe Biden messed all of that up by going out here and looking to bring all those black leaders into a room and saying he could do nothing for anyone. And once he did that, he basically started putting nails in the coffin for the Blue Party. And over the 3.5 years that he thought he could build his minority coalition to replace black voters, he wound up alienating more of those minorities who are now looking to vote more red than blue. So this whole thing, again, they disrespected the black voter, and instead of looking to go out here and get the black vote, what they look to do is continue to further alienate the black vote. And as they do this, they talk about how they need to preserve their democracy. But again, the great irony is that they don't want the black man to have a choice. And what's really interesting to me is while they sit there and talk, go into shaming language about Donald Trump and women's rights, they basically look to ignore the right of a black man to have his choice. And it really shows how full of it a lot of these blue party politicians are, because if they're so desperate to preserve their so-called democracy and so-called women's reproductive rights as they claim, then you think you would be bringing some tangibles to the table for black American men, and you would be taking things a lot more seriously if Donald Trump is the threat that you say that he is. I mean, if Donald Trump is such a danger to your government and how you govern this country, then you think you would be running to the table with something serious for black men. That's what I would think you would be wanting to do. You would be more serious about getting that anti-black hate crime law put into effect the way you did with Asians. You would be more serious about bringing money to black communities and cutting checks for reparations, the same way you can go out here and allocate billions for Ukraine, Israel, and migrants who enter the country illegally. You'd be a lot more serious about looking to give black people their fair share as related to this country and helping black people actualize their ability to compete in the American economy. But it seems like that these blue party politicians and their bootlicks and shills are more concerned with preserving white supremacy than looking to go out here and preserve their so-called democracy by giving black men choices, giving black men a reason to be a part of a process where they don't see anything coming for them. And the reason why many of those black men and black women are staying home is because they see nothing for them. And with them seeing nothing for them, what they're doing is exercising their constitutional rights under the 13th, 14th Amendment, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to stay home, because what reason does a black person have to go to the polls to participate in an election where they're getting absolutely nothing in exchange for their vote? What reason does a black person have for going to a poll where they just got told to their face by the previous president that is a part of the current party that is out here shaming them that we're going to get nothing from them? I mean, that's the definition of insane right there, where you already saw that this party for the last 16 years has openly disrespected you, but wants you to continue voting for them to preserve their so-called democracy, a democracy that denies you your rights as an American citizen, won't give you justice as related to cases like Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, and many others, and also openly looks to go out here and look to elect someone who persecutes you, and you're the bad guy for not looking to support that candidate who has, again, gone out here and expressed her disdain for black people. So I just look at this whole thing with Michelle Obama as part of a political party that's basically Arkham certified at this point. Arkham certified in that you're still thinking that people who are of a right mind are going to continue looking to support being disrespected and abused as a voting bloc, and Arkham certified in thinking that we're going to maintain a codependent relationship where they have all the power and we get most of nothing, and are going to continue to support a candidate, again, a candidate that is on record as just being a basically out here has done nothing for black people, basically has slept their way to the top, and is an empty suit that will do the same amount of nothing that the Biden administration is currently doing for people. And only an Arkham certified person would vote just based on feelings. And when it's a business transaction, why would you go out here and give somebody something for free when everybody else is getting something for it? And at this point, black people are saying to themselves, since we're not getting anything for our vote, we're staying home. And it's less we have less incentive to vote for someone who openly disrespects us. I mean, you can respect a person who's entered the country illegally and give them tangibles, but you won't give a black person any sort of money whatsoever. And again, that's an insult because these are American citizens who are being treated like in a second class. And what's worse is you've got people like Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama, black bootlicks, who basically are looking to oppress their own people and tell them that voting for oppression is perfectly fine. Well, again, if you want to get the orange man out of office, you got to give people something. Again, you can't, it's like going to the store. You don't get something for free. You got to put something on the table if you want a vote. And sadly, what's happening with this blue party is that we don't see that they're desperate enough to put something on the table. No, they just are being indignant. And as they are being indignant, they basically are really willing to let the country fall before they would give a black person something. And that just shows you how deep the white supremacy is on both sides, and how the blue side is even worse, because they say they want to again preserve democracy with their words, but their actions show how much of a hypocrite they are, because they won't put anything on the table, even though they say that they're so concerned. And again, actions speak louder than words. And if you're so concerned about black people's rights and black women's rights for their health care, you wouldn't just be sitting there talking about abortion. You'd be talking about the really rotten health care we have in inner cities, because I just had a family member go through an ordeal at one of these hospitals because the health care is just such garbage. And again, this is even in the aftermath of Obamacare, that the healthcare system is complete garbage. And if Michelle Obama really wanted to appeal to black men, what she would have done is go out here and talk to black men about providing improved healthcare for black people, and making sure that black communities get quality doctors and quality healthcare. Moreover, she would be out here looking to talk about things as related to overall healthcare for everybody, not just about abortion, because there's more to healthcare than abortion. I mean, I don't even think abortion is healthcare, no, because we would be really educating women about their bodies in sex ed, and educating women about not having this casual sex that people have been having for the last couple of years in this hookup culture, and would be teaching people about having more self-control. And again, I listened to this Michelle Obama, I listened to the way she talked to black people, and it showed how little she cared about black people. No, what she wanted to do was continue preserving her place in the hierarchy of white supremacy, and wanted to preserve it, and just basically feel that like that was threatened, but not threatened enough to go out here and offer anything tangible for black people. And most black people, when we listen to all of these different celebrities and politicians trying to shame black men, the more that incentivizes us to say one thing: no tangibles, no black vote, no black agenda, no black vote. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct Imprint, you can find those books on Amazon.com and other online booksellers like Drafted Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, All About the Goddess. The Goddess Next Door bears all in the art studio to catch a campus stalker in this action-packed ISIS series mystery. Get your copy of ISIS, All About the Goddess in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.